President.
Senator from South Dakota.
Mr. President, I'd also like to speak on the floor today in support of Senate Bill 1507, the Tribal General Welfare Exclusion Act of 2013. I'm a co-sponsor of this bipartisan legislation, which passed the House of Representatives earlier this week. This bill would codify that general welfare benefits provided to tribal members by Indian tribes, often in areas with high levels of poverty and unemployment where the benefits are much needed, are exempt from federal taxation. The bill would ensure parity between the tax treatment of benefits provided by Indian tribes and those provided by state and local governments. While the Internal Revenue Service has issued guidance on this issue, further action is needed to ensure that our tribal citizens are treated fairly with regard to taxation of certain tribal welfare benefits. This bill establishes a tribal advisory committee to advise the Secretary of the Treasury on the taxation of tribal members. There is bipartisan amendment with support from the National Congress of American Indians and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Tribes and tribal organizations across the country, Mr. President, including the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association and the Coalition of Large Tribes representing the 9 tribes in my home state of South Dakota, are urging us to move forward with this legislation. The Joint Committee on Taxation has estimated that this legislation would have a negligible impact on federal revenue. And so I hope that before we adjourn, that the Senate can pass by unanimous consent this legislation that was passed by the House of Representatives earlier this week under suspension, and that we will reaffirm our commitment to Indian country. Mr. President, I hope we move this legislation, move it quickly, and clarify once and for all this important issue. Mr. President, I yield the floor, and I suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.